Self-care is a scam. And I think deep down, most moms already know that. It's not because taking care of yourself doesn't matter, but because what mom culture calls self-care usually isn't. Bubble baths, face masks, planners, another water bottle. We've been sold the idea that these things restore us, but for many moms, they're just distractions from the real problem. And it's just one of the things mainstream mom culture and honestly, a lot of influencers have completely convinced us is normal, helpful, or even necessary. And I'm a mom of three. I live off grid, I homeschool, cook everything from scratch, and my husband is gone for weeks at a time. On paper, I should be absolutely wrecked, but most days I'm not. And it has nothing to do with so called self care. So today I'm sharing 5 things mom culture has taught us to accept as normal that are actually draining our energy. The last one is definitely the most controversial, but it's also the change that transformed my sleep. This is the exact stuff that's given me real steady energy, and not because I do more, but because I stopped accepting and doing what everyone says is normal. I'll tell you exactly where to start in just a minute. And if you're new, I'm Erica, and I help exhausted moms get their energy back without extreme diets or complicated routines. So if that's what you need, I hope you'll subscribe. And let's start with the biggest lie mom culture has convinced us all to believe. And that is constant exhaustion. It's just a part of motherhood. This might be the most dangerous one on the list because it's not even sold as advice, it's sold as identity. Like, tired mom gets treated like a personality trait instead of a problem that's worth solving. Here's something most people don't know about me. I dealt with real exhaustion and health issues before I ever had kids. I had migraines, I was always fatigued, the whole thing, back in my early 20s. And I didn't have it all figured out. I want to be honest about that. I wasn't some health expert with a perfect plan. I just started making small changes whenever I came across some new information. A tweak here, add a new little habit there, nothing dramatic and definitely nothing all at once. Here's the thing though, my husband and I had been trying to get pregnant for 2 years with no luck. And as I kept making these small health changes with the intent of improving our chances of having a baby, I noticed I felt less exhausted. And I know that's not a coincidence. So by the time I actually became a mom, I went in with a theory most moms never get to test. Exhaustion isn't just what happens to your body. I'd already watched it shift in my own life, one small change at a time, and I've kept doing that ever since. Get out of there, you googie. What you doing? Here, have some stuff. A lot of what I do now, being off grid, homeschooling, running things mostly solo while my husband's working away, I didn't have any of that figured out back then either. It's all just been the same pattern. One small change stacked on the last for years. And I want to be really clear. Motherhood is hard, for sure. I'm not saying that it's not. I'm saying constant exhaustion being treated as automatic isn't actually true, even if it is ridiculously common. Common and normal aren't the same thing. Once you stop accepting tired as your inevitable fate because you're a mom, you start asking a really important question. Why am I actually exhausted? And the first place that question took me was somewhere I didn't expect. Before we discuss that one, this exact mindset shift, going from exhaustion is normal to exhaustion has a cause, is the whole foundation of my free 3-day energy reset challenge. It's not a program, it's just 3 days to help you start noticing where your own energy is actually leaking and make some really small doable changes. So I'll drop the link below if you want to start there. Okay, here's the first thing I started questioning. Self-care means doing more. I said in the intro that self-care is a scam, and I meant it. But here's the distinction that I want to make because it does matter. The scam isn't taking care of yourself. The scam is what we've been sold as self-care, because those two are completely different things. The version of self-care that gets sold to moms and women in general is always about adding something, a new routine, a product, a ritual. And I get it. I bought into it too for a while. I thought if I just found the right thing to add or had a cuter routine, I'd finally feel less depleted. But I was already depleted, and adding more to a depleted life doesn't restore you, it just gives you more to try to keep up with. What actually changed things for me was kind of the opposite. I started asking, what was I already skipping? The boring, unglamorous stuff I already knew I should be doing, but wasn't. So for me, that looked like actually drinking enough water, doing something, anything, to move my body every day, and avoiding screens before going to sleep. Instead of telling myself scrolling was helping me wind down, when I knew deep down it was the opposite. So none of that is cute. But that's the actual definition of caring for yourself, not escaping yourself for 20 minutes. And here's the bigger thing. This really isn't about energy for its own sake. It's about having enough energy to actually enjoy your kids instead of counting down the minutes until they go to bed. You don't get there by adding more. You get there by finally doing those obvious things you've been skipping. And deep down, you already know exactly what they are. And this next one, most moms don't even think of it as a health thing, but it's one of the biggest energy drains, I think, hidden in plain sight. And that is this idea that picky eating is just normal and that kids need their own meals. Most moms accept that making separate kid meals is just part of motherhood. It's annoying, it's exhausting, and it's not actually necessary. From the time my kids started solids, I never made them separate foods. Whatever we were eating, that's what went on their plate or their tray. Same whole foods, same meal. My oldest two have never had a kid menu in their life. And do they have preferences? Yes, of course they do. Sometimes they say they don't really like what we're having, but they eat it anyway because that's just what's on the plate and that's how they've been trained. It's how it's always been. Now, I'm not saying this to brag. I'm saying it because almost nobody questions this kids need separate food assumption. It just gets accepted as the cost of having a toddler or a young child. And the cost of doing that is real. Like 3 short order meals a day, that's a massive energy drain most moms don't even consider. And the fix isn't a certain feeding strategy or system. It's just stop making 2 meals. Just make one. Just one. And when I get pushback from the kids, I just remind them, that's okay. You don't have to like it, but it's what we're having for supper. It's okay. You don't have to like it. Now, these next 2 are going to apply more if you've got a little one right now, but wait until you hear the lessons underneath because they apply no matter what stage you're in. So number 4 is babies need a strict nap schedule. Most moms think a baby who won't nap on a schedule means that something's wrong with the baby or with them. And I used to think that too. I've shared this before, but with my first daughter, I did try to get her on a schedule. From about 6 months to 9 months, I was doing it. I was doing what everyone said, watching the clock, tracking wake windows, trying to get her down at the same times every day. And she was not having it. I spent 3 months fighting her natural rhythm, feeling like I was doing something wrong every single time she wouldn't go down when she was supposed to. That particular kind of exhaustion, the kind where you're also convinced you're failing, is its own special kind of draining. So I gave up, but not in a defeated way. In a, this isn't working and I'm done trying to make it work kind of way, right? I just started carrying her, letting her sleep whenever her body was ready in my carrier. So on my back, while I cooked, while I cleaned, worked on my blog, she just came along. She slept when she needed to. And suddenly there was no battle. By the time my second and third came along, I never even attempted a schedule. I already knew we just weren't that family and I stopped feeling bad about it. The lesson here isn't never to schedule naps. Okay, if that works for your family, awesome. The lesson is that 3 months of fighting your baby's natural rhythm and calling it a failure is optional. You don't have to go through with that. The more flexible way is allowed to work too, and it might actually cost you a lot less energy than trying to do things the right way. And this last one, I told you to wait for it, is the one I believe is truly life-changing for moms with babies, but it is very controversial. It's this idea that co-sleeping is unsafe. Moms are taught there's one safe way to handle nighttime with a baby, and for a lot of us, the version we're supposed to do is the one that's absolutely destroying our sleep. I co-slept with my first daughter from the start, but nursing hadn't clicked yet. So every 2 hours all night, I had to fully wake up, sit up, get a bottle ready, feed her, and then try to fall back asleep before it all started again. And I have never been more tired in my life. It was awful. But once I got nursing figured out with the help of a lactation consultant, the entire night changed. By the way, if you're struggling, look into nipple shields. They changed my life. Anyway, when she woke, I would just nurse her there, right next to me, half asleep. We'd both drift back off. No sitting up or getting a bottle or fully waking my body and brain just to get her back to sleep. And looking back, that first week taught me something I didn't expect. Co-sleeping on its own isn't actually the thing that saves your sleep. It's co-sleeping plus nursing working together. One without the other, and you're still getting fully up every 2 hours. And if you're on the fence about co-sleeping, I completely get it. But what I don't think gets talked about enough is the risk of caring for a baby while you're severely sleep deprived. So do your own research, do what feels right for your family. But for me, being well rested while caring for my baby felt far less risky than the alternative. So just make sure if you do it, you're doing it safely. So if you're co-sleeping, getting nursing going early isn't just a feeding goal, it's a sleep goal for you and your baby. They come as a pair. And that's really what this whole video is about. It's never one big fix. It's a couple of small things lined up the right way that can really make a big difference. So those are 5 things you've probably been told are just how it is that are actually draining you. Changing these don't require a lot of extra effort. It's about doing less or doing something smaller and simpler than what you've been taught. That's really the whole point of everything I teach. Lasting change doesn't come from overhauling your life or making drastic changes. It comes from tiny, like embarrassingly small changes done consistently over time. I'm proof of that, and I'm doing this with 3 kids, off-grid, mostly solo, and I have more energy now than I did before I had any of them. If you want a simple place to start putting this into practice, my 3-day energy reset challenge walks you through it step by step, so the link's below for that. And let me know in the comments which one of these surprised you the most, or which normal thing you're gonna start questioning. Now, if you're thinking, I'm so stressed out, I don't even know where to start, I found a book that completely reframed how I see stress as a mom, and I broke it all down here. So watch that one next.